I'm Kurt Top, and these are 100 places on the planet where archaeologists have made the most amazing discoveries. An antenna at the bottom of the sea. In 1964, the research vessel USNS El Tenin was exploring the depths of the Southern Ocean and accidentally took a photo of something strange. At a depth of 3,900 meters, the camera captured an object that looked like a radio antenna. What is it? Another lost signal from aliens? The news quickly spread through the newspapers, and everyone decided it was proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. But it turned out not to be so simple. After some time, scientists found out that it wasn't alien technology. In fact, it was a deep-sea sponge, which really did look like an antenna from a distance. As it turned out, nature also has its own design style. Lost ancient cities. Archaeologists have discovered ancient cities in the Amazon rainforests, where about 2,000 years ago, up to 30,000 people could have lived. This was reported in the journal Science. Using ultrasound guidance and sonic LiDAR, a team led by Stephen Royston from the French National Center for Scientific Research explored the area and found many structures and roads underground. Before the arrival of the Spanish, the Quilimopia and Upanu peoples lived here. Royston called this place the Lost Valley of Ancient Cities, emphasizing its uniqueness and importance for understanding the history of the Amazon. The discovered cities, built over a vast area, included residential and public buildings surrounded by agricultural fields with drainage canals. The ancient people were able to connect the cities, some of which stretched up to 20 kilometers in length. Royston notes that the locals used clay instead of stone for construction. These cities existed from 500 BC to 300-600 AD alongside the Roman Empire in Europe, and lasted for about 1,000 years. New mysteries of the St. Belec slab. Scientists have been actively studying the ancient St. Belec stone slab, which is 4,000 years old since its discovery in 2000 in a French burial mound. In 2021, it was recognized as the oldest map in Europe. Researchers believe that the slab may contain clues to hidden treasures based on the drawings and symbols carved into it. This unique artifact of the Icelander was first discovered in Finistère, in western France, in 1900, but the mystery of the slab remained unsolved, and it lay in the castle for more than a century until scientists began studying it again. The slab, measuring 2 by 1.5 meters, according to experts, is a map of the Brittany region. Rivers, mountains, and other natural features are engraved on it. Interestingly, the depressions on the slab may indicate ancient settlements or burial mounds. When the engravings were compared with modern maps of Brittany, a remarkable 80% match was found. The study of this ancient map continues. It covers an area of 30 by 21 kilometers, and it may take scientists up to 15 years to fully study it. Excavations near the location of the slab have already yielded new fragments that were used in the construction of ancient tombs. Ajanta Caves, India. In the mysterious depths of western India, on the sheer slopes of a gorge, hides one of the greatest wonders of ancient art, the Ajanta Caves. These 30 caves carved into the rock served as a place of worship for Buddhists for centuries. The walls and ceilings of the caves are decorated with exquisite religious paintings that illustrate the life of Buddha and various Buddhist legends. It is believed that the oldest of these caves date back to the 2nd century BC. The vibrant and detailed paintings are magnificent in their own right and testify to the high level of skill of the ancient artists. The Ajanta Caves are not just a monument of ancient art, but also a bridge between the past and the present, allowing us to look into the soul of ancient India. The Pyramids of Meroe. Everyone knows about the huge pyramids of Egypt, but Sudan has the largest collection of these amazing ancient structures. Now that's a twist. Sudan is often associated with civil wars and diseases, but this country is a treasure trove for lovers of culture and history. At the top of the list are the Pyramids of Meroe. They were built in Nubia, one of the earliest civilizations of ancient Africa, and served as the eternal resting place for the last pharaohs of the ancient city of Meroe. More than 200 pyramids located on 3 sites were built as royal tombs for 40 kings and queens who ruled the kingdom of Kush and Nubia for over 1,000 years. This period is known as the Meroitic period. Unlike the pyramids of Giza, the pyramids of Meroe are built from granite and sandstone and are characterized by small bases and steep slopes. Inside the tombs, many artifacts are found: pottery, glass, and quivers with arrows. Even despite the destruction, the pyramids retain their magic, especially at dawn and sunset. Bas reliefs depicting scenes from ancient Egyptian mythology indicate a strong cultural influence. Burials in the Katyn Forest. The discovery of mass graves in the Katyn Forest near Smolensk, Russia, still causes a lot of controversy. In 1943, German troops advancing on the Soviet Union discovered numerous graves of Polish officers. The Soviet Union denied its involvement, claiming that the Nazis were to blame for everything. According to the official Western version, in 1940, thousands of Polish officers, policemen, scientists, and public figures who had been taken prisoner during the Soviet invasion of Poland in September 1939 were executed by order of the highest leadership of the USSR. These mass killings carried out by the NKVD became known as the Katyn Massacre. This discovery caused a wide international outcry and became an important argument in accusing the Stalinist regime of committing war crimes. For Poland, Katyn became a symbol of national tragedy and betrayal by the Soviet government, whom they had previously considered allies. However, not everything is so clear-cut. There is also another opinion, supported by documents regarding this tragic event. In 1943, when the Nazis suffered defeat in the Battle of Stalingrad, the leadership of the Third Reich, particularly the powerful propaganda machine of that time led by Goebbels, wanted to create internal discord. The Nazis themselves executed the Polish officers and then supposedly discovered them themselves. This was done in order to point to Stalin's repressions and to sow discord among the Allies. However, some Polish journalists did not believe the Nazis and conducted their own investigation. Some of the documents confirming the crimes of the Nazis were prepared for the Nuremberg Tribunal, where the Nazis were tried. However, under strange circumstances, everyone who tried in any way to whitewash Stalin's regime at that time began to die. Amazingly, documents disappeared, as did everyone who was in any way involved in investigating this tragedy. Nevertheless, the Nuremberg International Military Tribunal charged Hermann Göring, the number 2 Nazi, and Alfred Jodl, who served as chief of the Wehrmacht High Command, with the Katyn crime. These are facts documented by official records. It's hard to believe that the Soviet army was involved in this execution, especially since the Nazi allies have an even more terrible tragedy involving the Poles on their record. This is the Volhynia Massacre, which many people now try not to remember. At the same time, this event is thoroughly confirmed and documented all over the world. They discovered the homeland of aliens. Scientists believe that the exoplanet LHS 1140 BD may have an atmosphere suitable for breathing and an ocean of liquid water. This planet was discovered back in 2014, but new research has revealed many secrets. Because of its unusual appearance, LHS 1140b is called the Eye Planet. It is located 48 light-years from Earth in the constellation Cetus and weighs 7 times more than our planet. Research using NASA's telescope has confirmed the presence of water and a nitrogen-rich atmosphere similar to Earth's. However, the local sun is a tiny star, only 1/5 the size of our sun. It emits energy mainly in the red and infrared parts of the spectrum, so the planet is likely shrouded in twilight. If there is vegetation there, it is most likely black in color to absorb as much light as possible. Recent studies have shown that the planet could either be a mini Neptune made of gas or a mega-Earth covered with water. Scientists lean toward the idea that this planet is a water world with a rocky core. It is also believed to have a dense atmosphere and a stable climate. Astronomer Ryan McDonald from the University of Michigan noted that this is the first time we've seen a hint of an atmosphere on a rocky, potentially habitable planet. We may have found evidence of air there. Ancient structures in the Black Sea. Off the coast of Abkhazia, scientists from the International Underwater Archaeological Expedition discovered important archaeological finds. With the help of special equipment and divers, they explored depths from 1 to 60 meters in the waters near the cities of Gudauta and Sukhum. The most significant discovery was the remains of a medieval structure in the Sukhum Bay at the mouth of the Besledka River, where the ancient city of Dioscuria was presumably located. In this area, where an ancient stele had previously been found, archaeologists discovered a semicircular masonry, probably a tower with attached walls. It is made of large pebbles with a limestone mortar. There is pottery present in the masonry, and due to the large amount of sand and silt in the water, it was difficult to photograph the object, so a detailed survey is planned for 2024-2025. In the waters near the city of Gudauta, archaeologists found many vessels from the ancient and medieval periods, including an amphora at a depth of 48 to 50 meters. Unknown statue in a Thai forest. Recently, mushroom pickers in Thailand found a stone sculpture of a woman resembling Buddha's mother and reported the discovery to researchers. Despite the remoteness of the region, archaeologists had doubts about the origin of the statue. This discovery sparked debates among scientists who are trying to determine the age of the statue. One of the people who found the statue shared the discovery on social media, expressing his surprise and admiration. He called it a blessing, since the sculpture was found in a place he had known for a long time. The sculpture, carved on the sloping surface of a rock, depicts a woman at full length. She has long hair, traditional clothing, including a long skirt and a heavy scarf around her neck. The woman is holding a branch above her head. Some believe that the sculpture dates back to the Dvaravati period of the Southeast Asian kingdom, 6th to 11th century, and depicts Maya Devi, the mother of Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha. However, this theory is not widely accepted. An art historian from Silpakorn University in Thailand believes that the sculpture may be from a later period. He claims that the sculptor imitated ancient Indian art, but created his work at a later time. The expert points to the facial features of the sculpture, such as the eyebrows and lips, which do not match those of the Dvaravati period. He also notes that the depiction of Maya Devi beneath the fig tree was not common in the region during that era. The fig tree from Southeast Asia has religious significance for Buddhists and Hindus. Tamgali petroglyphs, Kazakhstan. In the vast expanses of Central Asia, on the territory of modern Kazakhstan, there is a unique archaeological site, the Tamgali petroglyphs. These ancient images carved on rocks serve as evidence of the cultural and spiritual heritage of the peoples who inhabited this region for thousands of years. Tamgali is a true open-air gallery containing more than 4,000 engravings. The images date back to various eras, from the Bronze Age to the Middle Ages. Here you can see hunting scenes, dances, rituals, and many other glimpses into the lives of ancient people. Special attention is drawn to the images of solar discs, which, according to scientists, indicate the existence of a sun cult among the ancient inhabitants of this region. Such drawings point to the spiritual and cosmic perception of the world among the ancient Kazakhs. The Tamgali petroglyphs are not just stone carvings. This is a page of history that tells us about the world in which our ancestors lived. In 2004, the complex was included in the UNESCO World Heritage List, confirming its global significance. By looking at these ancient engravings, you can feel the connection of times, immerse yourself in the world of ancient legends and myths, and understand how important it is to preserve and value the cultural heritage of humanity. Olduvai Gorge. In Tanzania, there is one of the most important paleoanthropological sites on Earth, playing a key role in understanding the evolution of early humans. This place holds vast evidence of the activities of ancient hominins, dating back more than 2 million years ago. The numerous campsites and tools discovered here have given scientists a unique opportunity to study the development of early human cultures and their social structures. One of the most valuable discoveries in Olduvai Gorge was the stone tools, which make it possible to trace the technological progress of ancient hominins. These tools, used for hunting and butchering animals as well as processing plants, indicate the beginning of complex social and economic life. In addition to tools, archaeologists found animal remains with clear signs of hunting and processing, which indicates hunting and processing of prey for further use. The skull from the quarry. The next incredible story is about the famous Piltdown Man. We are going back to 1912 to the small village of Piltdown in England. In a gravel quarry, they found the bones of an ancient human who lived more than 500,000 years ago. But not just any human. This skull looked like a mix between an ape and a human, as if it were the missing link in evolution. Archaeologists, including the famous Charles Dawson, were thrilled. They even named the find after him, Eoanthropus dawsoni. More bones and a canine tooth, which definitely belonged to this ancient human, were found in the quarry. The Piltdown Man became a celebrity. He was considered an ancestor of modern humans. However, in 1953, the truth came out. It was all a forgery. The skull was stained and made to look ancient. The jaw belonged to an orangutan. Even the canine tooth was painted. Many suspect Dawson himself of creating this forgery. There are other suspects as well, including the famous writer Arthur Conan Doyle. But the mystery remains unsolved. The Piltdown Man became one of the most notorious archaeological hoaxes. As you can see, even scientists can be deceived. Do you believe this story? An ancient city in the oasis. Archaeologists have discovered the ruins of an ancient city over 4,000 years old in the Khaybar Oasis in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. This city, named Al-Nata, was founded around 2400 BC and consisted of about 50 houses, designed for a population of around 500 people. The city was surrounded by a massive wall, 14.5 kilometers long, which likely protected its inhabitants from raids and the harsh climate. Interestingly, Al-Nata was preserved thanks to a layer of basalt that protected the ruins from destruction. The discovery was made possible by aerial observations. From the air, the structure of the city walls and buildings hidden underground could be seen. Al-Nata became an important testament to the transition of the region's inhabitants from a nomadic to a settled way of life. Early scholars believed that at that time this area was nothing more than a desert, unfit for habitation. However, the findings in the necropolis, including metal axes, daggers, and agate artifacts, indicate a high level of craftsmanship and technological development. The Salt Man from Iran. This remarkable discovery was found in the mid-1990s in the salt mines near Sharabad, in the mountains of Iran. Archaeologists believe that these are the remains of a worker from an ancient salt mine who died right at his workplace about 1,500 years ago. The unique conditions of the cave, saturated with salty vapors, helped preserve his body in an amazing state. Even the hair has been preserved on the mummy, which under the influence of salt has acquired a whitish tint, as well as the beard, which gives the find an even more eerie appearance. Scientists believe that the high concentration of salt in the cave prevented the decomposition process, naturally mummifying the body. The salted body looks as if time has stopped, allowing us to look into the face of the past. The Salt Man became not only an archaeological sensation, but also an important source of information about the lives of people from that era. Today, this mummy is a reminder of the harsh reality of the past and a unique example of human interaction with nature. New Nazca geoglyphs discovered with artificial intelligence. Our next story is about the coolest Nazca geoglyphs discovered with the help of artificial intelligence. This story begins in 2004. Scientists from Yamagata University, led by Professor Makoto Sakai, decided to study these ancient drawings located in the Nazca Pampa, which covers an area of more than 390 square kilometers. They used all the most advanced technology imaginable: satellite images, aerial photography, 3D scanning from a special aircraft, and even photos from drones. A wide range of technologies were used to uncover the mysteries of the ancient past. Over the course of a decade, scientists managed to find 142 new drawings right in the desert, all thanks to the most modern technologies. But then they faced a problem: too much data to analyze. They implemented machine learning to search for data that had been missed in the past. It's like an archaeological detective story, only with artificial intelligence. To make sure they didn't miss a single geoglyph, in 2016, the scientists used aerial photography with a high resolution of 10 centimeters per pixel. And after that, they discovered even more of these mysterious drawings. But that's not the end. To speed up the image analysis, the scientists used deep learning artificial intelligence and discovered 4 more new Nazca geoglyphs. Can you imagine? It's like discovering new stars in the universe. And these new geoglyphs depict a creature resembling a human, a pair of huge legs, a fish, and a bird. Scientists say that their method helps to discover things that were previously impossible to see, and they believe that this opens a new era in research, a combination of fieldwork and artificial intelligence. Even more discoveries await us ahead. Matriarchy in Crete. Scientists studying the Minoan civilization noted that in Crete, women were depicted as strong and influential, unlike men. This may indicate a matriarchy in their society. The Minoans, who lived on Crete, were distinguished by their advanced trade practices, as well as the expansion of women's rights in the Bronze Age. Professor John Younger from the University of Kansas noted that women in Minoan frescoes and pottery are depicted in luxurious clothing and jewelry, while men are presented in a simpler manner. Notice that even today, women generally appear more attractive than men. Minoan women actively participated in public events and religious rituals, which sets them apart from traditional domestic roles. Scholars suggest that the worship of the goddess in Crete could be evidence of a matriarchy. The figurines of the snake goddess and the fresco of the woman in blue confirm the important role of women in Minoan culture. The presence of a pool in the central areas of the palaces shows that women were treated appropriately during menstruation, unlike other ancient peoples. A student discovered an entire city. Mexican archaeologists accidentally uncovered an ancient Maya city hidden in the jungles of Campeche. A student researcher from Tulane University, Leupold Thomas, discovered a city called Valeriano while reviewing LiDAR laser survey data. This method allows mapping objects beneath layers of vegetation, and old Thomas managed to spot what had previously escaped the attention of other specialists. The city of Valeriano, with an area of about 16.6 square kilometers, impresses with its structure. Pyramids, sports fields, amphitheaters, and roads connecting the districts have been discovered here. Archaeologists believe that Valeriano was probably home to 30,000 to 50,000 people at its peak, from 750 to 850 AD. This city is second only to the famous Calakmul in terms of building density. The city layout indicates a complex structure, two major centers with temple pyramids, connected by a network of roads and residential quarters, as well as residences and places for rituals. Traces of water reservoirs have even been found, indicating a well-thought-out use of natural resources. This discovery confirms that tropical forests were not places where civilizations die, but on the contrary could support rich and complex cultures. Professor Marcello Canuto notes that the use of LiDAR technology over the past 10 years has accelerated the discovery of new Maya cities that previously remained unknown.
Скелет фермера времен неолита.
A unique discovery happened right in the middle of a city in Poland. This is a story that will touch you because it touches the history of humanity itself. An ancient town in the Lesser Poland voivodeship became the site of an amazing discovery. Imagine you are renovating the town square and suddenly you find a complete human skeleton. But this is not just any skeleton. This skeleton is about 7,000 years old. And what's most remarkable is that the skeleton was found in perfect condition and pieces of ancient clay pottery were discovered next to it. Apparently, they belonged to a culture known as the linear pottery culture. You might wonder how it was possible for the skeleton to remain in such excellent condition. He was buried in a very unique type of soil that helped preserve him. Scientists want to conduct a special test called radiocarbon analysis. This will help them find out exactly when this person lived. Right now, they don't even know who he was. But there are a few theories. Scientists think that this person might have been a Neolithic farmer who crossed into the Carpathians and ended up in Poland. But what's truly remarkable is that we still know so little about that ancient culture and their burial customs. That's why each such discovery is an opportunity to look into the past and learn more about those who lived before us. The Terracotta Army, China. In the heart of China, at the foot of Mount Lishan, there is a breathtaking panoramic view of one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the Terracotta Army. Here, you can learn that in the Neolithic desert, a Neolithic farmer once protected the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi. This army is a colossal collection of more than 8,000 warrior statues. 130 chariots with 520 horses, and 150 cavalry horses. Each warrior is unique. His facial features, clothing, and shoes are all crafted with astonishing detail. When this complex was discovered in 1974, archaeologists were amazed by the scale and excellence of this work. Incredibly, all the figures were originally painted in bright colors, but many of them have faded over time. The terracotta army stands as a testament to the greatness of the Qin Empire and its quest for immortality. It serves as a living reminder of the power, talent, and ambitions of ancient Chinese civilizations. Today, these statues represent not only a historical legacy, but also a symbol of China's cultural wealth, Knossos. On the Greek island of Crete, there are the greatest archaeological monuments of the Bronze Age. This ancient city was a key center of the Minoan civilization, which flourished around 2000 to 1400 BC and is the place where most events from ancient Greek myths unfolded. The most famous of these is the myth of Theseus and the Minotaur, according to which there was a labyrinth in the dungeon of the Knossos Palace where the monstrous Minotaur lived, defeated by the hero Theseus. Knossos, located near the modern city of Heraklion, is often mentioned as the oldest city in Venice. Its central element is the palace, built in a complex architectural style that included numerous rooms, ceremonial halls, storerooms, and even water supply systems. Although the palace bears the name of King Minos, archaeologists believe that it was not exclusively a royal residence, but played an important role as an administrative, economic, and religious center. The Knossos Palace impresses with its scale and complex layout, which has led to associations with the labyrinth from myths. Impressive frescoes depicting scenes from the life of the Minoans, as well as unique artifacts found during excavations, provide valuable insight into the life and culture of this mysterious civilization. Today, Knossos is an important tourist attraction and a symbol of ancient Crete. Sajama Island, remembered as one of the darkest places during World War II, earned the nickname Hell on Earth due to the cruel treatment of prisoners of war who were kept here in extremely harsh conditions. Located in a remote part of Japan, this island became a place of mass suffering and death for Allied soldiers who were captured by the Japanese army. In recent years, archaeological excavations on Sajima Island have shed light on the dark chapters of its history, revealing the living conditions and circumstances of death of prisoners who were forced to endure unbearable conditions, hunger, disease, and cruel treatment. The island, which was used for military purposes, was isolated from the rest of the world, allowing what happened here to be hidden from the international community. The stories of survivors and historical documents testified to the inhumane ordeals, but only recent excavations have made it possible to fully appreciate the scale of the tragedy. Findings on the island include personal belongings of prisoners of war, letters that were never sent, and fragments of clothing, which help reconstruct the way of life and the final moments of the people who ended up here. The Cave Devil. This sinister face, known as the Cave Devil, looks at visitors from the wall of one of the famous Hellfire Caves in West Wycombe, in the southeast of Britain. The caves were manually created in the 18th century, and their history is closely connected with the Hellfire Club, a society founded by the eccentric aristocrat Sir Francis Dashwood. The club included members of the elite of that time who gathered here to conduct mysterious rituals and, according to rumors, even black masses. After Dashwood's death, the club ceased to exist and the caves were abandoned. However, in the mid-20th century, they were turned into a tourist attraction, drawing the curious and adventure seekers. Among the winding passages and dark halls, tourists often encounter this ominous image, suddenly emerging from the cave darkness, which often causes them genuine fear. Although the true purpose of creating this devilish mask remains unknown, it fuels legends about the dark secrets of the Hellfire Club. An ancient totem of a night bird. On Hontoon Island in the St. Johns River in Florida, a unique artifact was found, an ancient carved figure of an owl, the only one of its kind east of the Mississippi. This 3-meter sculpture, estimated to be between 700 and 800 years old, was carved from a single piece of pine and is believed to have once guarded the shore of the island. In 1955, Victor Robke accidentally came across this totem while crossing the river. Today, a replica of the owl stands in the same place on Huntoon Island, which has become a state park. The original is kept at the National Museum of Fort Caroline in Jacksonville, and a fiberglass replica serves as a reminder of the ancient heritage. In addition to the owl totem, similar images of an otter and a pelican were found here, indicating the rich spiritual and cultural life of the indigenous peoples. The artifact was originally attributed to the Timucua people, but there is another hypothesis that it was created by the little-known Mayaka tribe, who spoke a different language. The function of this totem is not exactly known, but there are several theories. Some believe it was a clan symbol. Others think it was a religious object or a boundary marker. The details of the carving are striking. 2 eyes, both human and owl-like, and 5 claws instead of the usual 4. It is possible that the owl was used in shamanic rituals, since in Native American myths it is often associated with the spirit of the night and as a protector of shamans. Taxila, Pakistan. Taxila is an ancient city located in what is now Pakistan and is one of the greatest archaeological sites in South Asia. This city was an important cultural, religious, and commercial center in ancient times. Flourishing from the 6th century BC to the 5th century AD, Taxila is known for its universities, which were considered some of the first educational institutions in the world. Students from all over Asia came here to study various sciences, including medicine, mathematics, and astronomy. This place also played a key role in the spread of Buddhism across the continent. Archaeological excavations in Taxila have uncovered numerous temples, monasteries, stupas, and other religious structures. Each of these buildings tells a unique story about the lives and beliefs of the people who lived here many centuries ago. Taxila was also an important part of the Silk Road, the main route connecting east and west. This led to a blending of cultures and traditions, which makes this city especially interesting to study. Today, Taxila is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it continues to inspire scholars, researchers, and travelers from all over the world with its rich heritage and long history. The Lost Golden City. Beneath a layer of sand thousands of years old, scientists discovered an ancient city in Egypt. Under the guidance of the famous Egyptologist Zahi Hawass, the city was found near Luxor, where the Valley of the Kings is located. This city, known as Aten, is the largest ever discovered in Egypt. It is about 3,000 years old. It was founded during the reign of Amenhotep III and continued to be used during Tutankhamun and I. Scientists confidently state that this is the second most significant archaeological discovery after the tomb of Tutankhamun. Jewelry, colored pottery, scarab-shaped amulets, and clay bricks with the seals of Amenhotep III were found here. Several areas have already been discovered at the excavation site, including a bakery with ovens and a storage room for clay vessels, as well as administrative and residential quarters. Archaeologists are confident that this city will give us a new perspective on the life of ancient Egyptians during the time when their empire was at the height of its prosperity. Scientists hope that further excavations will bring even more amazing discoveries. The Tomb of the Dwarf Horses. French archaeologists discovered 9 large graves containing the remains of 28 6-year-old stallions, buried on their right sides with their heads facing south, and 2 dogs with their heads facing west. These findings, dated by radiocarbon analysis, date to the end of the Roman conquest of Gaul and the beginning of the Roman Empire. Between the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD, experts are considering the theory that the animals may have been buried after dying in battle or as part of a complex ritual. Death from disease is unlikely, since only adult males were found in the graves. The remains are being checked for parasites. The graves were found in Illy-sur-Indre in central France, where the foundations of ancient buildings, ditches, and a medieval road had previously been discovered. The first grave contained 10 complete horse skeletons neatly arranged in 2 rows. A similar burial was found in 2002 in Puy-de-Dôme, where the remains of 8 warriors and their horses were discovered. The Petrified Book. Archaeologists from Australia stumbled upon a mysterious artifact resembling a book, which is estimated to be over 330 million years old. Yes, I know that not everyone likes it when I talk about thousands and millions of years. That's why such a discovery sparked a lot of debates and speculation among scientists. Thomas Kaminsky, a researcher of antiquity, claims that they found a mineralized book with a metal binding, but it can no longer be read. Professor of Archaeology Jane Baum was also amazed by the find, although she expressed doubts about its antiquity. Other experts are surprised at how the pages of the book have been preserved for millions of years. Professor of Geology Ian Plimer explains that under certain conditions, in an oxygen-free environment and under pressure, paper can become fossilized. Kaminsky believes that the depth at which the book was found indicates its authenticity. Nevertheless, the question remains as to why the book looks like a modern book. Could this be an artifact left by time travelers? The largest meteorite on Earth. The mysteries of space have always fascinated people, and meteorites serve as evidence of mysterious visits from distant space to Earth. An example of such an incredible visitor is the Hoba meteorite, discovered in Namibia, which still amazes people with its size and history. Unlike the Tunguska meteorite, which left many questions and assumptions, Hoba is tangible evidence of cosmic journeys to our planet. Weighing 60 tons, this giant piece of metal, adorned with ancient rust, now stands proudly in an amphitheater built especially for it, and is one of Namibia's main attractions. The story of the meteorite's discovery began in 1918 when farmer Jacobus Brits, while plowing the land, stumbled upon an unusual boulder. At first he tried to uproot it, but after examining it closely, Brits discovered that it was an iron meteorite, whose composition was later determined to be 81% iron and 17% nickel. This discovery became a sensation, as little was known about meteorites at the time, and the farmer dreamed of hitting the jackpot. The issues of transporting the enormous visitor from space turned out to be so complicated that the idea of selling it had to be abandoned. Since then, the Goba meteorite, whose weight has decreased over time to 63 tons due to chemical erosion and vandalism, has been placed under protection and recognized as a national monument. Today, Goba not only amazes with its size, but also serves as a living lesson in history and astronomy, reminding us how small and yet important we are in this vast universe. And although tourists continue to leave their marks on it, each scratch is quickly covered by a layer of rust, as if nature itself erases the boundaries between the earthly and the cosmic. The lost Golden City Egyptologists expected to find the tomb of the famous pharaoh Tutankhamun, but instead they discovered something incredible, an entire city lost in the sands of time. To their own surprise, they unearthed an ancient capital founded by Tutankhamun's grandfather, Pharaoh Amenhotep III. The city was built from mud brick and was a complex labyrinth. On the clay wine jars found in the city, there were hieroglyphs that told the story of its founder. It was Pharaoh Amenhotep III. In addition to bricks stamped with the pharaoh's seal, they also found amulets and even a golden fish. A giant sword from Japan. In Japan, there is a unique sword that is believed to have been forged during the Edo period. Measuring 465 centimeters in length and weighing 75 kilograms, it is recognized as the largest Japanese sword in the country. This sword was presented to the Hanauka Hachiman Shrine in 1859 during a ceremony honoring the imperial monument by supporters who shared the views of imperial patriots like Yoshida Shoin. The sword was forged with the hope that it would ward off evil and demons and could create a bright, pure, and peaceful society. The sword is kept in the treasury of the Hanauka Hachiman Shrine and is usually not displayed to the public. However, it can be seen with a special guide by appointment only. The city of Angkor, Cambodia. The city of Angkor, once the capital of the mighty Khmer Empire, is now a symbol of Cambodia and one of the most magnificent archaeological sites in the world. Spreading over an area of more than 400 square kilometers, this place was once the center of political, religious, and cultural life in the region. The central part of Angkor is Angkor Wat, a majestic temple built in honor of the god Vishnu. With its tall towers, intricate reliefs, and impressive galleries, Angkor Wat is an architectural marvel that attracts millions of tourists every year. However, Angkor is not just Angkor Wat. Numerous temples, such as Bayon with its giant stone faces and Ta Prohm, which is intertwined with trees, create an atmosphere of mystery and grandeur. This city tells us about the complexity and diversity of Khmer culture. Religious motifs that combine Hinduism and Buddhism are reflected in art objects, statues, and reliefs. Angkor also testifies to the high level of architectural and engineering achievements of the Khmer. Water supply systems, roads, and hydraulic structures indicate a complex urban layout. Today, Angkor is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a key place for studying the history and culture of Southeast Asia. This ancient city continues to inspire, amaze, and teach us lessons from the past. The ancient city in Micronesia. This amazing complex was built on artificial islands connected by a network of canals, which is why it is often called the Venice of the Pacific. The complex includes about 100 artificial islets. The islands were created from massive basalt blocks, arranged in such a way as to form walls, platforms, and buildings. Each structure is surrounded by water channels, which makes this place even more mysterious and impressive. The age of Nan Madol is estimated to be about 1,500 years, but some studies suggest that the first structures may have appeared much earlier. Archaeologists believe that the construction of this complex began at the end of the first millennium AD. It is possible that it was under the leadership of local rulers, the Sodalur dynasty, who used Nan Madol as a ceremonial and administrative center. The main mystery of Nan Madol lies in how the inhabitants of Pohnpei Island were able to build such a complex and massive city with limited technology and resources. Each basalt block used in the construction weighs from several hundred kilograms to several tons. Transporting and installing such heavy blocks would have required significant effort and knowledge. Basalt was quarried on the other side of the island, which meant it had to be transported across difficult terrain and water. Considering that the ancient builders didn't have modern technology, this achievement seems almost impossible. Some researchers suggest that the stone blocks could have been transported using rafts and ropes. Others point to the possible use of a system of levers and ramps. However, none of these theories fully explains how the ancient Micronesians managed to lay and align these massive structures so precisely. Nan Madol is also surrounded by numerous legends and myths. The local residents believe that the city possesses magical properties and that it was built using supernatural powers. Some myths claim that Nan Madol was home to spirits and was used for rituals related to ancestor worship. To this day, this ancient city inspires awe and respect among the residents of Panapa, and they avoid visiting Nan Madol after sunset, believing it to be a place inhabited by spirits. Penny from Maine. This Viking coin, known as the Goddard penny, was discovered near an old Native American settlement in the state of Maine, USA, in 1956. It is possible that Vikings and Native Americans once met. The only known Viking site in America is in Canada, not Maine. Some scholars think it might be a forgery. Some believe that the coin was planted by Goddard himself or by one of the archaeologists. But for now, this coin remains a real mystery that has intrigued researchers for more than half a century. The story reminds us that the past is always full of surprises and unexplored mysteries. Nuku-Hiva bas-reliefs. On the island of Nuku-Hiva, which is part of the Marquesas Islands archipelago in French Polynesia, archaeologists are amazed by mysterious statues. The bas-reliefs and sculptures depict strange beings that resemble gray aliens. They have human bodies, but their heads are like reptiles, with huge round eyes and low-set mouths. Who created these statues, and for what purpose is unknown? The island's indigenous residents today know nothing about the origin of the sculptures and believe that they depict the ancient god Onu, who, according to their beliefs, created the world. When Europeans discovered the island in the 16th century, it was inhabited by savage gatherers who became notorious for cannibalism. The link between today's inhabitants and the makers of the mysterious statues is lost. Archaeologists estimate the sculptures are at least 100,000 to 150,000 years old. Some believe that they depict priests in ritual masks, but such masks look too unusual to be just a part of earthly culture. Supporters of the conspiracy theory are convinced that a colony of aliens once lived on Nuku-Hiva. In their opinion, the statues depict hybrids of humans and aliens, and the sculptures themselves are traces of ancient experiments. The oldest river in the world. Everyone knows about rivers like the Nile and the Amazon, the longest and the largest river in the world, respectively. But do you know which river deserves the title of the oldest on Earth? It's not an easy question, but most scientists tend to agree that it's the Australian Finke River. Just imagine it is between 350 and 400 million years old. This majestic river begins in the McDonnell Ranges and stretches for 600 to 750 kilometers, ending its journey in Lake Eyre. The most amazing thing is that this river seems to forget to flow. It appears only a few times a year, after heavy rains. It's very difficult to determine the age of the river. It's necessary to study the surrounding ecology, mountain ranges, riverbed deposits, and many other factors. That's why the age of the Finke is only an approximate number. If we look at other parts of the world, in North America, the oldest river is considered to be the New River. It winds for 547 kilometers from the Blue Ridge Mountains to West Virginia. Estimates of its age vary, but scientists agree that it is between 10 and 350 million years old. And in Europe, the oldest river is the Maas. It stretches for 950 kilometers, crossing Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. And it is estimated to be between 320 and 340 million years old. The oldest bead in America. An archaeological team from the University of Wyoming found the oldest known bead in North America at the ancient Mammoth site of La Prairie in Converse County, USA. At this site, traces of an ancient hunting camp and the remains of a young Columbian mammoth have been preserved. Research, the results of which were published in the journal Scientific Reports, reported the discovery of a Clovis bead made from rabbit bone. This item, 7 millimeters long and 1.6 millimeters wide, was probably used as a decorative clothing ornament. The bead is polished, has smooth edges, and is covered with red ochre. There are grooves on the outer side of the bead, indicating that it was made using stones or teeth. To determine the origin of the bone material, scientists from the University of Washington conducted a mass spectrometric analysis of collagen. The analysis confirmed that the material was either a metapodial bone or a proximal phalanx of a hare. This discovery became the first convincing evidence of the use of hair during the Clovis era, which dates back to about 12,000 years ago. The Clovis era is known for the discovery of distinctive stone tools named after the Clovis Archaeological site in New Mexico. Lakshmana Temple, India. Among the ancient monuments of India, the Lakshmana Temple holds a special place. This majestic sanctuary was built in the 10th century in the city of Khajuraho. This temple, dedicated to the god Vishnu, is a vivid example of North Indian temple architecture. The exterior of the temple impresses with its elegance and detail. The carvings on the facades depict various episodes from Hindu mythology, as well as scenes from the lives of people of that era. The erotic sculptures attract special attention, as they are considered symbols of spiritual unity and love. The inner courtyard of the temple is decorated with stone-carved columns, each of which is unique in its design. The sanctuary of the temple houses a statue of Vishnu, demonstrating his various avatars. The Lakshmana Temple is not just an architectural marvel, but also an important testament to the religious, cultural, and social life of ancient India. Returning to this place, we immerse ourselves in the mysterious world of the past, full of profound philosophical and cultural knowledge. The tomb of Philip II of Macedon was discovered in Vergina, in northern Greece in the late 1970s. The tomb of Philip II of Macedon became one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in the history of ancient Macedonia. These tombs, located near the necropolis of the ancient Macedonian capital Aegi, are considered to be the final resting place of Philip II, king of Macedonia and father of the great conqueror Alexander the Great. The tomb is distinguished by its magnificence and the wealth of buried artifacts. Archaeologists found weapons, armor, gold, and silver items in it, including unique precious ossuaries, vessels for storing cremated remains. One of the ossuaries, decorated with a golden wreath of oak leaves and acorns, contained bones believed to belong to Philip II himself. This discovery not only confirmed ancient descriptions of the grandeur of the Macedonian kings, but also became a source of new knowledge about the cultural and burial rituals of the elite of that time. The armor and weapons found next to the remains indicate the important role of warfare in the life of Philip II, who not only strengthened Macedonia, but also paved the way for the future conquests of his son, Alexander the Great. Ancient fortress in the oasis. In the Khaybar Oasis in the desert of Saudi Arabia, scientists discovered an ancient fortress wall dating back more than 4,000 years. This gigantic structure is 14.5 kilometers long and 5 meters high, with about 180 bastions, of which only 6 kilometers of the wall and 74 bastions have survived to this day. Radiocarbon analysis of charcoal remains from the excavation site indicates a period between 2,250 and 1,950 BC. Pottery remains were found on the wall, which confirms its antiquity. Archaeologists believe that this wall was used for several centuries before it was abandoned. The wall was presumably used for protection against nomad raids, marking territorial boundaries and flood defense. This indicates a transition of the local population to a sedentary lifestyle. The construction of such a gigantic wall required significant resources. About 250 people worked on it for 4 years, using 164,000 cubic meters of stone and brick. The discovery of the wall was made possible thanks to satellite images, which opens new horizons for Russian archaeological research. A rare astronomical instrument, a medieval brass astrolabe from the 11th century, was discovered by chance but turned out to be important evidence of cross-cultural scientific exchange. Created in Spain, it later received inscriptions in different languages as new owners adapted it to suit their own needs. This artifact is unique as a palimpsest, reflecting the changing ideas and needs of its owners. This is not just a rare example of an ancient instrument. It's a powerful testament to the scientific exchange between Arabs, Jews, and Christians over the centuries. The Verona astrolabe underwent many changes as it passed from hand to hand. At least 3 owners added translations and corrections, 2 in Hebrew and 1 in a European language. Astrolabes are maps of the sky with rotating parts that help determine position in time and space. They were useful for navigation, astronomy, and astrology. The ghosts of Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is not only one of the largest underground systems in the world, with passages about 500 kilometers long, but also a place shrouded in legends. Originally, the cave was used for mining saltpeter, and later it became a tourist attraction. Underground lakes, giant halls, and echoes resounding through the labyrinths attracted the curious from all corners. However, the cave gained real fame thanks to stories about ghosts. Among visitors and workers, there are rumors that you can encounter the souls of deceased workers who once toiled in its depths. Tourists often report strange shadows, vague silhouettes, or unexplained voices coming from the darkness. There have been cases when entire groups claim to have seen ghostly figures that seem to be watching them from afar. Legends claim that these are the spirits of miners who died in accidents. These stories add even more mystery to the cave and attract not only nature lovers, but also seekers of the supernatural. Mammoth Cave remains a place where mysticism and history intertwine, creating a unique atmosphere. 2,000 kilometers to Antarctica. An international team of archaeologists and paleoecologists has confirmed the remarkable skills of Polynesian navigators who managed to reach the southern latitudes of the Pacific Ocean, although they never made it to Antarctica. Researchers on Enderby Island, located 500 kilometers south of Stewart Island, have shown that Polynesians sometimes lived for short periods on this remote territory. Cultural layers and midden heaps were discovered on the island, confirming their presence. Radiocarbon analysis made it possible to accurately date the settlement. Around 1250 to 1320 AD, which coincides with the known dates of the colonization of eastern Polynesia. Professor Athol Anderson and Janet Wilmshurst, who led the research, noted that Enderby became the southernmost place of residence for ancient Polynesians. Further journeys to the south were practically impossible due to the cold ocean waters, the lack of resources for repairing boats, and the risk of hypothermia. This data highlights that although the Polynesians were outstanding navigators, they still had limits in their expeditions. Sigiriya Fortress, Sri Lanka. In the very heart of Sri Lanka, atop a massive stone plateau, rises the ancient Sigiriya Fortress. This place, surrounded by legends, is one of the most striking architectural and cultural landmarks on the island. It is believed that Sigiriya was built in the 5th century AD by King Kashyapa as a royal residence. The ascent to the top is accompanied by passing through majestic lion's paws, a symbol of power and authority. On the walls of the rock, amazing frescoes have been preserved, depicting the Cloud Maidens, mysterious beauties whose story still sparks debate among scholars. There are also gardens and pools at the top, demonstrating the level of engineering skill of the ancient builders. Sigiriya is not only a historical heritage site, but also a place for meditation and inspiration. The view from the summit over the jungles of Sri Lanka is an unforgettable sight, reminding us of the power of nature and human culture. Ruins of an ancient civilization underwater. In the early 2000s, a team of researchers led by the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications made a sensational discovery off the coast of Cuba. At a depth of about 600 to 750 meters, strange structures resembling stone buildings were discovered on the ocean floor. These structures looked like organized rows of giant stone blocks, some of which had a regular rectangular shape and resembled massive walls or pyramid-like buildings. The initial results of underwater research conducted using modern sonar led to the hypothesis of the possible existence of a sunken city that may have been swallowed by the ocean tens of thousands of years ago. According to some estimates, the age of these ruins may exceed 50,000 years, which is significantly older than the earliest known civilizations such as Sumer and ancient Egypt. This makes the possible discovery even more intriguing, as it suggests the existence of ancient and possibly highly developed cultures that science knows nothing about yet. Some scientists believe that these ruins may represent the remains of an ancient city built before the last ice age, when the sea level was significantly lower. There is a theory that this area might have been inhabited by ancient peoples who were later forced to leave their homes due to the rising sea level. This hypothesis is supported by proponents of the theory about the existence of ancient sunken continents, such as Atlantis, described in the works of Plato. Some geologists suggest that these formations may be the result of natural geological processes, such as erosion, earthquakes, and other movements of the Earth's crust. Further research and analysis of the underwater ruins off the coast of Cuba requires significant resources and time. Let's hope that the authorities will find the resources to study these ancient ruins. Secret tunnels under London. During construction work in London, a forgotten network of secret tunnels running beneath the city was discovered. These underground corridors, according to researchers, were used by the military and government agencies during World War II, both for protection from German bombings and for conducting secret operations. The tunnels stretch for several kilometers beneath the central part of the city, forming a complex network that once served as a hidden artery for the movement of people and documents, as well as for secret meetings of military command and government officials. Some of these underground passages lead to buildings of strategic importance, including military headquarters and government bunkers. The discovery confirms many London residents' rumors and legends about a vast network of tunnels under the city. Until now, most of these underground structures remained unexplored due to their classified status and restricted access. Archaeologists and historians consider this discovery important for understanding how London tried to protect its infrastructure and key figures during the most tense years of the war. Inside the tunnels, remnants of old communication equipment, military ammunition, and even personal belongings were found, making them a valuable source for studying everyday life of that time. Research and preservation of the discovered tunnels are ongoing, and they promise to reveal even more secrets about the life and defense of the British capital during the dark years of World War II. Sunken ships of the Ming Dynasty. The next story is reminiscent of a treasure hunt movie. At a depth equal to the height of 5 Eiffel Towers, the remains of 2 ships were discovered in the South China Sea. And these are not just ships, but ancient Chinese vessels that belonged to the Ming Dynasty, which ruled China from 1368 to 1644. This is the first time in history that China has discovered such a unique find in the underwater depths. Scientists from the Chinese Academy of Sciences believe that this discovery is important not only for China, but for world archaeology as a whole. This may help us learn more about the Silk Road, which was the main route for trade between China and other countries. Both ships are believed to have sunk at the end of the 15th and the beginning of the 16th century, and were discovered at a depth of 1,500 meters. A huge amount of cargo was found inside them. The first ship was carrying about 100,000 items, mostly porcelain dishes. The second one was loaded with timber. And most surprisingly, the ships and their cargo have been perfectly preserved. Thanks to this, scientists were able to easily determine the period to which this discovery belongs. Among the discovered dishes, there are different types of porcelain and ceramics, including rare ceramics with green glaze. This discovery is a major breakthrough in the history of trade and culture of China of that time. Research on the ships is still ongoing, and they may bring many more amazing discoveries. So friends, let's follow this fascinating archaeological adventure together. Persian windmills. These unique windmills are located in the city of Nashtifan in eastern Iran and are ancient structures that are almost 1,000 years old. They were built around the year 1000 and are among the earliest examples of wind energy use in the world. These mills differ from the familiar European models in their design. They have a vertical axis which is ideal for the local climate conditions. The strong winds blowing in this region turn the wooden blades connected to a vertical shaft, which drives the mechanism for grinding grain. What is especially impressive is that these mills are still in working condition today. They are made from natural materials such as wood, clay, and reed, which not only highlight the craftsmanship of ancient Persian builders, but also ensure the durability of the structure for centuries. These mills not only serve their practical purpose, but also became a symbol of the resilience and ingenuity of ancient engineers. Today, they are an important part of the cultural heritage, reminding us of how ancient civilizations were able to harness natural forces with minimal impact on the environment. The Nashtifan mills are a living testament to the technical genius of the ancient Persians, continuing to operate after thousands of years. A shocking discovery by miners. Sometimes miners come across unusual artifacts that can surprise even archaeologists. In 2008, an unusual discovery was made at a depth of 900 meters in the Zapadnaya mine in Donetsk, Rostov region. In sandstones dating back to the Carboniferous period, 360 to 300 million years ago, an imprint of a wheel was found. The mining foreman Kasatkin, who worked in the mine, shared photographs of the find. According to him, because the mine was classified as dangerous due to the risk of sudden coal and gas outbursts, the management banned any investigation of the object and ordered the work to be sped up. As a result, another smaller print, discovered later, was not extracted for study. Kasatkin claimed that in the mine, which was closed in 2009 and flooded, other amazing discoveries were found, including prints of giant snakes and possibly winged lizards. He also mentioned other unusual finds in coal mines around the world, including a wall made of stone blocks and hieroglyphs. These stories, despite their fantastical nature, make us wonder about the possibility of ancient civilizations that we still don't know about. Such discoveries can open new horizons for archaeology and history, although official science often ignores this kind of evidence, considering it miners' tall tales. What do you think? Could these mysterious findings really be evidence of ancient civilizations? Or are they just coincidences? Write your opinion in the comments. Bagan Temples, Myanmar. Bagan is an ancient city that for centuries served as a religious and cultural center of Myanmar. Stretching over an area of about 42 square kilometers, it proudly rises above the plain, dotted with thousands of pagodas and temples that testify to the former grandeur and religious devotion of ancient kingdoms. The construction of temples in Bagan began in the 9th century and continued until the 13th century. Here you can see architectural masterpieces reflecting a variety of styles and eras, from massive pagodas with golden domes to elegant temples with intricate carvings. One of the main features of Bagan is its walls, decorated with ancient paintings and frescoes. These images tell stories from the life of Buddha, scenes from ancient legends, and depict the everyday life and culture of that era. Visiting Bagan is an immersion into an ancient world full of mysticism, faith, and beauty, where every stone and temple holds stories waiting for their storyteller. The mystery of the Antarctic monolith. In 2020, in a remote part of Antarctica, at a depth of more than 2 kilometers, researchers discovered a mysterious object that was named the Antarctic monolith. This object, a rectangular stone slab about 3 meters high and 1.5 meters wide, was found using an ice-penetrating radar used to map the landscape beneath the ice cover. The strangest part began when scientists started studying the monolith. The surface of the stone was covered with intricate geometric patterns and petroglyphs that were strangely similar to ancient symbols found in different parts of the world, including South America, Africa, and Asia. Analysis of the material showed that the stone has no analogs among the known rocks of Antarctica. This means that it came there from somewhere else. In addition, the monolith had unusual magnetic properties. Instruments detected a weak but constant magnetic field around it. Charred remains of organic materials were found near the monolith, which, according to scientists, could have been ancient plants or even the remains of living creatures that lived millions of years ago. These organic materials, encased in ice, could provide unique data about the ancient ecosystem of Antarctica when it was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Some researchers suggest that this could be evidence of a highly developed civilization that existed long before the appearance of humans. Others claim that this is potential evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. Ancient Roman giant. In the area near Rome, archaeologists discovered a unique ancient human skeleton with gigantism. Standing at 202 centimeters tall, the man stood out among his 3rd century contemporaries, where the average height was about 167 centimeters. Gigantism is an extremely rare condition, affecting about 3 people per million, and is associated with pituitary gland dysfunction during childhood. Previously, partial skeletons were found in Poland and Egypt, which were presumed to indicate gigantism. However, the Roman discovery became the first confirmed case from ancient times. The skeleton was found in 1991 during excavations of a necropolis in Fidene under Roman rule. The archaeological team immediately noted the unusual length of the tomb, and later studies confirmed the peculiarities of the bones. Researchers found damage to the skull consistent with a pituitary tumor, as well as disproportionately long limbs and signs of bone growth in early adulthood. The man's early death, presumably between the ages of 16 and 20, may indicate problems associated with gigantism. The skeleton was found without any burial goods, and the burial itself did not differ from the traditions of that time, which suggests that he was accepted by society. The symbolism of this find highlights the Roman upper class's interest in people with physical anomalies. A teddy bear soldier. In 1908, a boy from Birmingham received a teddy bear as a Christmas present, which he named Captain Bruini. However, the teddy bear story changed in 1915 when the boy's father was called to war. To ease the pain of separation, the boy dressed his friend in a military uniform made from whatever materials were at hand. The teddy bear received a unique outfit: stylish baggy trousers, a yew-wood saber, a pistol, and even a driver's license signed by the boy's father. On the postcard with the bear's story, written by his owner, it says that Bruini served on Salisbury Plain and quickly earned the rank of general thanks to some questionable maneuvers. The driver with the sidecar had wheels made from tin can lids, and the clothes were sewn by the boy and his cousins. The bear's story is unique because he has kept his military appearance. Antique teddy bear specialist Daniel Agnew noted that most such toys were stripped of their uniforms after the war because the uniform reminded people of hard times. The bear's owner's name remains a mystery, but there are some clues. For example, there's a signature on the driver's license with the likely surname Bullwright. Captain Bruini is being auctioned in New Newbury, Berkshire, where he is expected to sell for £1,200 sterling. A giant from the USA. At the end of the 19th century, deep in the dense forests of North America near a small settlement now known as Black Hills, South Dakota, a discovery was made that shocked the scientific world of that time. A local forester, walking along his usual routes, stumbled upon an unusually large stone protruding from the ground. He was surprised by its size and unusual shape and decided to invite a group of archaeologists from the nearest university. When the archaeologists began the excavation, they discovered that the stone was actually part of a giant stone sarcophagus. Inside, they found well-preserved remains of a person whose height exceeded 3 meters. This discovery sparked a lot of debate among the scholars of that time, some of whom claimed that the find could shed light on the existence of ancient giants mentioned in the legends and myths of many cultures around the world. Despite significant interest from the scientific community, most of the information about the find and the object itself were lost over time. Only a couple of photographs taken during the excavation and a few entries in the personal diaries of the expedition members have survived to this day. These photographs, although not very clear due to the limited technology of that time, show the enormous size of the skeleton compared to the people who excavated it. The Black Hills area, rich in history and mysteries, still attracts researchers and adventurers who want to uncover the secrets of ancient civilizations and possibly find lost archaeological treasures. Thus, the story of the archaeological discovery of an ancient giant remains one of the most mysterious and unexplained chapters in the history of archaeology. The Mohenjo-Daro complex, Pakistan. Mohenjo-Daro, whose name translates as the Mound of the Dead, is one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. This is an ancient city of the Indus civilization, forgotten and buried under layers of time, only to be rediscovered in the 1920s. Located in the southern part of Pakistan, Mohenjo-Daro stands as a testament to a highly developed urban culture, a culture dating from 2600 to 1900 BCE. Amazingly, the city had a complex sewage system, neatly paved streets, and public pools that were used for ritual bathing. Special attention should be given to the Great Bath, which, according to scholars, might have served as a place for religious ceremonies. In addition, archaeologists have discovered a large number of clay figurines depicting people and animals, as well as jewelry and even dice. However, despite all their discoveries, many aspects of this ancient civilization remain a mystery. What was the reason for its downfall? What was the daily life of its inhabitants like? All this makes Mohenjo-Daro incredibly fascinating to study and search for answers. Zorat's-Kharer. The large megalithic complex Zorat's-Kharer, also known as the Armenian Stonehenge, is one of the most mysterious ancient structures in the Caucasus. This ancient monument, located in the south of Armenia, consists of hundreds of upright stones, some of which reach several meters in height. The stones with holes in their upper parts are of particular interest, attracting the attention of researchers and lovers of mysticism. Zorat's-Kharer dates back to approximately the 6th millennium BC, making it one of the oldest structures of its kind. Supporters of the theory about extraterrestrial civilizations suggest that these holes might have been used for observing the stars, or even for communicating with extraterrestrial beings. They claim that the precision of the hole's placement and the orientation of the stones may indicate astronomical or some other, more complex functions that could not have been accessible to the ancient inhabitants of Armenia without outside help. However, there is no scientific evidence for these theories. Most researchers believe that the Armenian Stonehenge was an ancient observatory used for observing celestial bodies, or it was a place where rituals and ceremonies were held. This ancient monument continues to attract the attention of researchers and tourists, inspiring them to search for answers about its true role in the lives of ancient civilizations. Mammoth remains in Kyrgyzstan. On June 2nd, a tusk and fragments of a mammoth's lower jaw were discovered in the floodplain of the Jergalin River in the Issyk-Kul region of Kyrgyzstan. Archaeologists who arrived at the request of the Ministry of Culture found that the fragments were located at a depth of 3 to 5 meters and at a distance of 140 to 150 meters from each other. Due to the poor preservation of the bones, the archaeologists exercised special caution to ensure their safety, as the bones quickly deteriorate when exposed to sunlight. The specialists managed to extract only part of the skull, which was cleaned and preserved on site. The presence of remains in two different locations within the same quarry indicates the potential of this area for future discoveries. Officials urged citizens to ensure the preservation of historical and cultural heritage sites and to report any findings to archaeologists. A grand discovery in Egypt. Archaeologists have found an ancient tomb with 11 sealed burials near Luxor, Egypt, in the South Asasif necropolis. The tomb dates back to the Middle Kingdom and was likely used as a family burial site for several generations during the 12th and early 13th dynasties. The discovery was made possible thanks to a modern expedition of Egyptian and American scientists. This is the first Middle Kingdom burial found in South Asasif, which expands our understanding of this necropolis and its connection to the Theban necropolis. Because of ancient floods, many wooden coffins and linen wrappings were destroyed, but the ornaments have been preserved, including amulets and necklaces made of amethyst, agate, and faience. One of the unique items was a fertility figurine made of bluish-green faience, decorated with drawings and featuring grooves for attaching hair made of clay beads. A square sacrificial plate was also found, depicting symbolic offerings such as a bull's head, bread, and meat, which were possibly used in rituals. The remains of 5 women, 2 men, and 3 children were placed in wooden coffins, oriented from north to south. Jewelry was preserved in the women's burials, while the children and one of the men were buried without any. The other man was found with a necklace made of 40 faience beads and an amulet shaped like a hippopotamus head. This discovery is especially important in the context of the revival of tourist interest in Egypt, where historical treasures are once again attracting attention. Luxurious artifacts in China. Get ready for a magical journey into the past, specifically to the Shang Dynasty era, which flourished in China from 1600 to 1046 BC. This state is not just a fabrication, but is confirmed by findings and even records from that time. And it seems we've just been lucky enough to open new, intriguing pages of this history. Recently, the National Cultural Heritage Administration of China presented new archaeological discoveries that have literally turned our understanding of the Shang Dynasty upside down. And all this is thanks to the excavations in Shan Province, where Jiagu is located, a site filled with ancient treasures, the foremost site associated with the Shang. Feel the grandeur of this place. Giant earthen structures, tombs, kilns, and ruins. All of this is spread across 11 neighboring hills. This is the true golden heart of the Shang Dynasty. And here are our main characters: 9 burial groups of nobles, including 3 groups of large tombs arranged in the shape of the Chinese character Jia. This kind of settles all questions and secures Jiagu's status as the main cemetery of the Shang Dynasty. But wait, there are even more amazing discoveries here: the remains of chariots and horse skeletons. This is incredibly important for studying the origin of chariots and the customs of their burial. But that's not all. Numerous jade artifacts, bone tools, oracle bones, and even pottery. And here's the most important thing: the discovery of the central settlement and large tombs confirms a highly developed bronze civilization in northern Shanxi during the late Shang Dynasty, which has changed our understanding of that era. All these discoveries help us better understand the structure of states at that time, cultural changes, and interactions between different regions. Bactrian gold, Afghanistan. In the very heart of Afghanistan, at the crossroads of ancient civilizations, one of the most impressive archaeological treasures of the 20th century was discovered: Bactrian gold. This amazing find, consisting of more than 20,000 gold items, was discovered in 1978 by archaeologist Victor Sarianidi. These treasures date back to the first millennium BC and belong to an ancient people who lived in the area of Tilla Tepe in northern Afghanistan. Jewelry, coins, figurines, and many other works of art reflect the fusion of various cultures, from Greece and Rome to China and India. Particularly striking are the diadems, earrings, necklaces, and other jewelry. Everything is exquisitely decorated with precious stones and inlaid with the finest gold wire. Among the images on the jewelry, you can see panthers, deer, dragons, and many other mythical creatures. Interestingly, After their discovery, the treasures were considered lost for a long time due to political instability in the region. But in 2003, they were found in a safe at the Afghan Central Bank. Today, this treasure serves as a reminder of Afghanistan's rich and multifaceted history and its place in world civilization. A ship in Serbia. On the territory of the ancient Roman camp of Viminacium, which was the capital of the ancient province of Moesia, Serbian archaeologists are studying the remains of a 13-meter river vessel. This historic camp is located 144 kilometers southeast of Belgrade, the capital of Serbia. It's not the first time that coal miners have found ancient traces of past life in this area. Unfortunately, the ship has not been preserved in its entirety and was damaged. But, as archaeologists noted, the wood is in good condition. Specialists have already moved the remains of the vessel to the archaeological camp for further research. Now, scientists are trying to determine which period the vessel belongs to. According to experts, the vessel could date back to either the Roman era or the past few centuries. Archaeologists plan to apply for funding from the Ministry of Culture of Serbia to continue their research. When the museum is built, visitors will be able to see all the ships and boats found at this section of the Danube. The Merneptah Stele. The long period of the enslavement of the Jews in Egypt and their subsequent exodus is one of the most complicated chapters in the history of ancient Egypt. Although archaeological evidence of this event is limited, every discovery is of great significance. There is an opinion that there is no evidence of the Jews being in Egypt at the time of the Exodus, but this is not true. The most well-known piece of evidence is the stele of Pharaoh Merneptah, discovered in Thebes in 1896. It refers to the military achievements of Merneptah and contains the earliest mention of Israel. The stele identifies Israel not as a state, but as a people in conflict with Egypt. This fact is interesting because Merneptah was a descendant of Ramesses II, the possible pharaoh from the book of Exodus. According to the Bible, the exodus of the Jews marked the beginning of the formation of Jewish statehood. Merneptah could have witnessed the rise of Egyptian dominance in the region, which later weakened during the reign of Ramesses II. During this period, new states were mainly formed by migrants from southern Italy, the Aegean Sea, and western Anatolia. The mention of Israel may confirm the biblical version of the Israelites returning to their lands from the south. Heapy Earth's Knot. In one of the poisonous caves near the Mexican city of Tabasco, researcher Diana Nordo came across a strange substance, which immediately received the unofficial name soplet, or earth's knot. These thick, stringy drops of a whitish substance hang from the cave ceilings like fantastic stalactites. At first glance, they look like something out of a horror movie, but this is a completely real phenomenon. Snotites are still poorly understood. Some suggest that it consists of mineral and biological components, possibly related to the activity of bacteria living in the extreme conditions of the cave. Even though, according to preliminary data, the substance is not dangerous to humans, just the thought that such a thick drop could suddenly fall on your forehead might make anyone reconsider the charms of underground exploration. Caves have long been considered some of the most extreme places on the planet, where unique forms of life thrive. The study of snowtite slime may shed light on microbial ecosystems and their role in the formation of such substances. Dunhuang Caves, China. In the deepest parts of the Gobi Desert, where the Silk Road stretches across endless sands, lies one of China's greatest cultural treasures, the Dunhuang Caves. This complex of more than 490 caves is home to thousands of Buddha statues and stunning frescoes, covering themes from religion to everyday life. Created by monks starting from the 4th century AD, the caves became a center of Buddhist art for over a millennium. Here you can see the influence of various dynasties and cultures, Indian, Tibetan, and Uyghur. Motifs blend with Chinese traditions. Special attention should be given to the cave library, where thousands of manuscripts were found, including the oldest known examples of printed books. These texts are not only religious in nature, but also include historical, scientific, and literary works. The Dunhuang Caves are not just an archaeological site. They are a testament to the spiritual and cultural heritage of China and the entire Silk Road. They tell the story of the meeting between East and West, of the dialogue between cultures and religions in the heart of Asia, Spain. The Gamar Pyramids are a unique archaeological complex located on the island of Tenerife, one of the Canary Islands belonging to Spain. These pyramid structures, built from basalt stones, attract the attention of researchers and tourists thanks to their mysterious history and unusual architecture. There are a total of 6 pyramids within the complex, which have a stepped shape and terraced foundations, reminiscent of the structures of ancient Mesoamerican civilizations. Some researchers believe that the pyramids were built by the ancient Aboriginal people of the Canary Islands, the Guanches, who used them for ritual and religious purposes. In support of this theory, they point to the similarity of the Gamar pyramids with other ancient structures that were used for worshiping gods and conducting ceremonies. However, there is also an alternative point of view suggesting that the pyramids were built in the 19th century as part of agricultural terraces. A distinctive feature of the Gamar pyramids is their orientation in relation to astronomical events. Studies have shown that the pyramids are constructed in such a way as to be oriented towards the solstice. On the day of the summer solstice, you can observe a unique phenomenon when the shadow of the pyramids aligns perfectly with their edges, creating the effect of a double sunset. This astronomical alignment suggests the possible use of the pyramids as an observatory or for conducting calendar rituals. A prison born of nature and man. In the small mining town of Clifton, Arizona, in 1881, a unique prison was built that was considered impregnable. The town faced a problem. Convicted criminals were not sentenced to imprisonment, but to work in the copper mines. However, many of them simply escaped without serving their time. To prevent this, the local authorities decided to create a prison from which it would be impossible to escape. The prison was built directly into a granite cliff. For its construction, they hired the stonemason Margarita Varela, who, using a pickaxe and explosives, dug a tunnel in the cliff leading to a cave. The cave was divided into 2 chambers, one for especially dangerous criminals, and the other for those who had committed less serious crimes. The chamber had a window for air access, but they were located high up at a height of 3 meters. Varela installed heavy iron bars at the entrance, making the prison truly impregnable. Ironically, the first prisoner of this prison was its builder himself. After finishing the work, Varela went to a local bar to celebrate, but he got very drunk and started shooting into the air. The bartender, who was also the deputy sheriff, arrested him for disorderly conduct, and Varela ended up in the prison he had built himself. The prison operated until 1906, when a severe flood forced the evacuation of the inmates. The prison was later abandoned, but in 1929 it was restored, and in 1962 it was granted the status of a historical monument. In 1990, the prison was added to the National Register of Historic Places in the United States. The horror of the underworld kingdom of Osiris. Today we will embark on an exciting journey to ancient Egypt, where we will unravel the mysteries of the mysterious Book of the Dead. Some might think the Book of the Dead, is that some kind of detective story or a horror movie? But in reality, it's a collection of texts that help the deceased deal with challenges in the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that after death, we face a journey to the underworld, which they called Duat. It was a kind of land of the dead, consisting of 14 zones. Imagine a long and complicated road that you have to travel to reach eternity. But even after death, we need rules, right? This is where the Book of the Dead comes in. It's like an instruction manual for the deceased written on sacred papyri, sarcophagi, and even on the burial wrappings of mummies. These texts contain special spells and magical formulas that help overcome all the difficulties along the way. If the deceased person lived a good and honest life, his soul would easily pass through all the zones of the Duat and reach eternity. And now, here's the most interesting part. Upon arrival at the Hall of Two Truths, the soul faces judgment. And not just any judgment, but a divine one, led by Osiris himself. Judgment involves weighing the heart on scales against a feather, symbolizing truth. But what happens if the heart is heavier? Then the soul would meet the terrifying monster, Amet, made up of parts of 3 dangerous animals, a crocodile, a lion, and a hippopotamus. This beast, the devourer of the dead, would take hearts weighed down by sins, and that would be the end of the soul. So friends, the Book of the Dead is not just a collection of texts. It's a real guidebook to the world beyond life, a map of the road to eternity. Remember, even in the afterlife, it's important to be honest and kind. The trilingual cuneiform. In front of you is the inscription of Xerxes, the first one of the great Persian kings who ruled in the 5th century BC. This inscription is made on a smooth section of rock 20 meters above the ground, which makes it difficult to access and gives it a special grandeur. It is located near Lake Van in modern-day Turkey and is part of the ancient Van Fortress. The inscription is unique because it is written in 3 languages: Old Persian, Elamite, and Akkadian, which was typical for Persian kings who sought to demonstrate their power over many peoples. Xerxes I, known for his campaigns against the Greeks and mentioned in Greek history, used similar inscriptions to assert his authority and greatness. Each symbol here was carved with great precision, and cuneiform was used to convey the official message. The height and complexity of the inscription's placement also indicate the power of the Persian king and were made to be visible to everyone who passed by. Borobudur Temple, Indonesia. Amidst the green jungles of central Java rises the majestic Borobudur Temple, the largest Buddhist monument in the world. This unique religious complex was built in the 8th–9th centuries and is the most important symbol of Indonesia's cultural heritage. The temple is a monumental stepped pyramid crowned with large domes. More than 500 Buddha statues and countless reliefs are located along its terraces, telling stories from the Jatakas, tales of the Buddha's past lives. By following the spiral path around the temple, pilgrims pass through 3 levels of Buddhist cosmology, from the world of desires to the world of absolute enlightenment. The upper platform of the temple is decorated with 72 mystical stupas, each containing a statue of the Buddha. Forgotten and buried under a layer of earth and volcanic ash, Borobudur was only rediscovered in the 19th century. Today it is a popular tourist destination, attracting travelers from all over the world with its mystery, beauty, and spiritual depth. This temple is a living reminder of the greatness of ancient Javanese Buddhist culture. The fascinating and mysterious places of Asia that I talked about in this video are just the tip of the iceberg of the history and cultural heritage of this amazing continent. If you enjoyed my story and want to learn more, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your likes and comments on the video will help me understand which topics interest you the most. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.